Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Friday, the 15th of March. Good to have you aboard, part of the Believe Podcast Network, and of course, presented as always by our title sponsor, everything ZASLOW Show 2.0, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you've been involved in any kind of an accident, you deserve to be compensated if it wasn't your fault. And that's why I send you to where you're going to be treated like family, as I have as well at the start of this show. None of this is possible without Anidjar and Levine. You call them, they're going to put their skills to work for you. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. So glad to be back with you guys. I'm sorry, I was away the last couple days. I was in New York City. We went on Tuesday afternoon, so I did the show Tuesday. Came back last night, but my flight was delayed. I considered doing a late show yesterday, so that Wednesday would have been the only show we missed. But I got home, I was exhausted. New York City's tiresome. So we got home last night. I watched the Panthers, and I'm like, I'm just going to do the show tomorrow morning like normal. So I apologize for not being around the last couple days. I can tell you the last couple days were productive, all right? I know everybody likes it when I get productive, but mostly I'm glad to be back here with you guys. And of course, you got a lot of hoops going on. College hoops, pro hoops. Bet Online continues to be your #1 source for all your basketball wagering needs. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you could follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, you know what? We got a lot happening here. It's Friday. Obviously, we're going to tell you what are the big games and what are the not big games. Got some mailbag questions. Since we missed yesterday's show, want to do a little bit of mailbag today. I like being able to get you guys involved in the show, and getting some mailbag questions is always a good way. So you know what? We got a few things to get to, but first, let's hit up what happened last night. All right, so only a little bit of basketball to recap here real quick. The Celtics had a 127-112 win over the Suns. You guys know how I feel about the Phoenix Suns. I am not a believer. I'm certainly not a believer in winning big with Kevin Durant. The Oklahoma City Thunder, a 126-119 win over the Mavericks. No Luka Doncic there for Dallas. I'm really interested in what Oklahoma City, looks like come playoff time. The Western Conference is wide open. You got a lot of great teams, and it's hard to trust Oklahoma City because of their age. You got all the conference championship tournaments going on right now in the men's and the women's hoops. NC State yesterday, that was the big story in the ACC tournament in the quarterfinals yesterday. NC State knocks off Duke 74-69. I mean, that's a big upset there. How about that? You know, so Duke, they're done in the quarterfinals. We don't get to see, Duke UNC for a third time this season. That's all right. We always like it when Duke loses. Those kids, obviously, the game was not a Camden Indoor, but those kids, they think it's their birthright to win every single basketball game. I love when they lose. I love watching those kids upset. The most entitled, spoiled brats there are in sports today, as far as fan bases go. So that's a little bit of what happened last night. So before we get to the important stuff here, all right, I got to get your opinions. I got to know what's going on. And you guys can always hit me up at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, where I'm an influencer, obviously, at ZASLOWJ. And so yesterday, coming back from New York, I flew Delta on the way there. Delta's great. I flew Spirit on the way back. All right. And I know what you're thinking. And I've had this conversation here before, right? We've talked about this. I remember specifically with my guy, Evan Cohen, from ESPN Radio on Sportsmanlike every morning, 6, 10 a.m., where I had this conversation with him once. And he's like, because Spirit's so cheap. Like, I look at it, and it's like, $49 one way, which is ultimately why I chose to fly Spirit home. But I said to him, I got to do it, right? So she was like, you got to pay the extra money to make sure you get the convenience and the comfortability and all of that. So, and I'm not even going to complain. I'm not going to complain about Spirit because I think if you fly Spirit, I think that's what it was. I think I paid $49 on the flight back. I figured, you know what? It's the end of the trip. I'm going to be coming home anyway. I'll fly Spirit home. Whatever. And I got to be honest, I've never had a bad experience on Spirit. I mean, it's not that comfortable. They don't have the TVs. I didn't pay for the Wi-Fi either. I was bored as fuck. Oh my God. And you got to pay for everything. Snacks, like it's no frills. You're practically sitting on the wing, on the outside, right? I get it. But and so as a result of all those things, I think if you choose to fly Spirit like I did yesterday, I don't think you can complain about anything. I think you have to understand what Spirit is. This is the way it goes. So I'm not complaining, but I am pointing something out. So yesterday, I get to the terminal. I get to the gate. I'm flying out of LaGuardia. And I'm like, oh, shit, I got 2 carry-ons, which really means I only got 1 because you're allowed 1 personal item, which is free. And I brought my suitcase on the flight with me because it was small enough. And that's a carry-on, which you got to pay for on Spirit. Yeah, you got to pay for the carry-on on Spirit. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to hold up the line when I'm actually going onto the plane. So I'm just going to go up to the desk and I'm out myself. Hey, I got a bag here. I got to pay for it. All right. So I'm a rule follower and I'm an honest guy. Look at this Punim. You can tell I'm honest. And so I go up there and I tell her, all right, I got carry on here. The cost, $99.99, $100 to bring it on the flight. Now I did say to her, and again, no, I'm very pleasant at the airport. The TSA agents going through. Now I have clear, but predictably when you're flying at the Spirit gate, there's no clear at Spirit. So you go through the agents, the security. Everybody's always trying to pick fights with the shoes and do I put this through the carrier and all that. I'm super pleasant. I've never had a bad experience. These people are just doing their jobs. I really think half the time when people get into these fights, they're looking for a fight. Because I get it. Travel could be a little bit stressful. I choose to be super pleasant. And this way, I don't have bad experiences. And so I treat at the counter, you always see people arguing with those behind the counter at the gate. I go up there and I'm very pleasant. So she tells me $99.99. I'm like, whoa. Actually, what I did, she goes $99.99. I look at her, I go, holy shit. And that was just my reaction, And so, and she was nice enough, but I'm being very pleasant, so it's all good. So I just said to her, out of curiosity, what would it have been if I checked the bag? It's not even like I would have gotten that much of it. It'd have been $10 cheaper. So who cares, right? I may as well bring it on the flight with me. Here's the thing. This is what I'm bringing up. And again, this is not a complaint. Because I believe if you're flying Spirit, you're not allowed to complain. This is what you signed up for. So I signed up for all of this. Here's the thing, though. I paid more for my bag to be on the flight than for me to be on the flight. Like, that's crazy, right? And again, not a complaint. And it is what it is. I'm flying Spirit. This is what comes with it. I paid double. My bag cost twice as much to be on that flight than for me to be on that flight. That's bananas, right? So ultimately, you add on to that, there are no TVs, all right? I didn't want to pay for the Wi-Fi. Delta, Wi-Fi is free. It's included. I didn't want to pay for the Wi-Fi, so I didn't. And you got to pay for all the food or snacks. I mean, the lady next to me, she got a coffee, $5. So here's what it's boiled down to. I can't fly Spirit ever again. I can't. I have to break up with Spirit. And I flew Spirit on my way to when I went to Dallas a few months ago when I took my boys to go see Pearl Jam. Now, the reason we did that was because it's 3 of us and, to make it economical, to make it affordable, It's 3 tickets I got to buy. All right, we'll fly Spirit. And like I said, no issues whatsoever. And it's 3 of you. You're all taking up the same row. It's actually totally fine. You know, you don't mind sitting next to your kids. I can't fly Spirit anymore. I was so bored. And it's like, all right, so I can read some stuff. Maybe it's on my phone or on my iPad. They were all so low on battery. I was barely able to do anything on the flight other than just sit there. It was rough. It was my fault, though. Again, nothing against Spirit. They did nothing wrong. It's on me. This was a poor decision. My bag cost twice as much to fly from LaGuardia to Fort Lauderdale than I did. I can't fly Spirit anymore. I gotta get out of this. It's worth the extra money. Tell me how much more money I have to pay, and that's how much I'm going to give you to not fly Spirit next time. It's a bad job out of me. That's all there is to it. All right, so we got home last night. I give the wife a, kiss hello. Then she rushes me to the shower because, of course, I'm a little bit stinky. You're on the plane, the whole deal. So let's sit down. Now I got the game on the DVR, Let's sit on the ZASLOW Mansion family room couch. Ice cold Johnny Cuba on my hand. That's how I'll relax. You guys know Johnny Cuba's the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0. European roots with that Caribbean soul. A refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba yourself. Your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. That's how you'll relax this weekend, watching all the games. I'll tell you about big game, not a big game later. Make sure you always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. So I sit on the couch in the ZASLOW Mansion family room in my underwear, Johnny Cuba in my hand. I put on the Florida Panthers. Panthers lose last night 4-0. There's not a whole lot to this game. And by the way, for the Panther fan out there, yes, I did see the Panthers and Stars the other night when I was in New York. What was it, Tuesday night, I believe? Yeah, Tuesday night. I watched on my phone in the hotel room, late night style. I actually didn't go to bed very late any nights in New York, And so I'm in the hotel room. I'm watching the Panthers on my phone. I almost shut it off when it was 3-0. Come back, they win 4-3, scored 3 goals in the third period. They win it in regulation. So yes, I know a lot of you Panther fans out there, you're watching the Panthers complete the comeback. Like, yo, I hope ZASLOW's watching. I know he's in New York. Yes, of course I watched. That shit was awesome. Last night was not awesome. And here's the thing. I fucking hate the Carolina Hurricanes. So the last 2 games, the Panthers have been shut out each of the last 2 times in Carolina. That place has always been a house of horrors for us, except when it matters. And that was in the postseason last year when we swept that ass, won both those first 2 games, both in overtime. Kachuk, you know what I'm talking about. So they've been shut out each of the last 2 games in Raleigh. I hate that. Like, again, I don't have very much to add from the Panthers last night. Panthers played a good, first 10 minutes. I think Carolina really outplayed the Panthers the rest of the way. I thought Paul Maurice was going to pull Bobrovsky late in the third when they went down 3-0. I'm glad he didn't, and Bob was fine the rest of the way. I mean, he gave up 1 more. Well, the next goal was an empty net goal. So, anyway, it did have me thinking, though. So, the Panthers lose 4-0 yesterday. I hate the Carolina Hurricanes so much. And I started thinking, you know what? I wonder where the Hurricanes rank on my list of teams that I hate the most in sports right now. Where do the Carolina Hurricanes rank for teams I hate the most in sports right now? That's what I was thinking after the Panthers got shut out last night in Raleigh, because I hate the Carolina Hurricanes so much. And it's one of the cool things about hockey players, where the players, they will tell you how much they hate the other team. And you could tell during the game, like last night's game, especially early on. Super physical, super chippy, maybe even a little bit dirty. And that's because these teams do not like each other. You don't get that in the other sports. The NBA, they're hugging and kissing before and after every game. Makes me want to vomit. But in hockey, they still hate each other. But it got me thinking. Now, I'm not talking about all time, but for my current sports fandom, top 5 teams I currently hate their guts. That's what we got today for you, all right? I hate the Carolina Hurricanes. They're obviously going to make the list. Here are the top 5 teams. I'll count backwards from 5 to 1 for dramatic purposes. The only person who doesn't understand that when they're doing a list is Amber Wilson. She likes to start from the top. Always wants to start from the top. 5-1 for dramatic purposes. Here we go. Number 5, teams that I currently hate the most. The Buffalo Bills. What? ZASLOW, the Bills are number 5? This is a crazy list then. You hate 4 more teams more than the Buffalo Bills? That's right. Number 5 on my list of teams I currently hate the most, the Buffalo Bills. All right. Number 4, New York Jets. Yup. The Jets are only 4. Now, this isn't all time. This is my current hatred. Because you have to remember, the Jets suck. Like, the Jets they're hardly worth my emotion. Now, they get some of my emotion because I hate them so much for my entire life. So they're always, in some fashion, going to be on this kind of list. You got Aaron Rodgers, who apparently is denying Sandy Hook, makes you hate the Jets even more. So, number 4, teams I currently hate the most, New York Jets. Number 3, Carolina Hurricanes. Yep, I hate the Hurricanes so much. There are only 2 teams right now I currently hate more than the Carolina Hurricanes. That's why last year was so sweet. The first time ever that the Panthers faced the Carolina Hurricanes in the postseason. A team that has always dominated the Panthers, especially in Raleigh. And the Panthers to win the first 2 games in Carolina, the first one in the, 5 overtimes, 4 overtimes? Really one of the worst sporting nights of my life. That game was brutal to watch. Thank God they won. Matthew Kuchuk, I love you so much. There are 2 more teams I hate more currently than the Carolina Hurricanes. Are you thinking who they could be? Are you thinking? Okay. Number 2, Tampa Bay Lightning. Yup, I hate the Lightning so much. Now, the Lightning they're so good this year. They're having a little bit of a down year. I want the Lightning in the playoffs so bad. If you're a Panther fan, we didn't get the chance to go through them last year. Boston, Toronto, Carolina. Tampa beat us the previous 2 years. If we're going to win the Stanley Cup, you need to go through Tampa. I hope the Panthers match up at some place with the Tampa Bay Lightning this postseason. It's time that we end their season. All right. And number 1. Now, here are the 5 teams. Teams that I currently hate the most. Number 5, Buffalo Bills. Number 4, New York Jets. Number 3, Carolina Hurricanes. Number 2, Tampa Bay Lightning. And number 1, the team I currently hate the most in all of sports, the Boston Celtics. You know it. That's right. I hate the Celtics so much. You may be saying to yourself, ZASLOW, you hate the Celtics more than the Knicks? I thought the Knicks were going to be on the list. I hate the New York Knicks, but currently, they're not even in my top 5 of teams that I hate the most. And the Knicks, now they're pretty good this year, but the Knicks have been a nothing for so long. I hate the Boston Celtics so much. I hate them more than any other team in professional sports right now. Matter of fact, it's been like that for probably a good 10 plus years now. Probably like 13 years, matter of fact, how much I hate these Boston Celtics. It doesn't even seemingly matter who plays for him. Everything about the Celtics, the city, the logo, that goddamn leprechaun, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Joe Mazzulla. I mean, he is an asshole, that Joe Mazzulla. The fan base, I can't stand these Boston Celtics. We all know the way it's going to end. It's going to be Heat and Celtics again in the postseason, and we're going to rip their hearts out once again. The best part is that Celtic fan, once again, not getting to talk about winning an NBA championship. Fact of the matter is, since the Miami Heat have been in existence, the Heat have won 3 times as many championships as the Boston Celtics. Don't let any of this allow you to forget about that. The team that I hate the most currently in sports right now, the Boston Celtics. Feel free to send me your list there at ZASLOW Show. You can always hit me up, of course, on the Twitter machine.